The year was 1995, and for Emily, a teenager with a room full of colorful posters, life was an adventure. Her bedroom was more than just a place to sleep, it was her sanctuary, a world of her own making, where every wall told a story and every corner held a secret. The soft hum of her lava lamp cast shifting colors across the room, making the familiar space feel magical as the sun set on another week. Her walls were a collage of favorites, The Lion King, the cast of Friends, and a dozen other pop culture icons that made her feel connected to something bigger. Each poster was carefully chosen, a badge of her passions and dreams, and she'd spend hours rearranging them, making sure every inch reflected her personality.
I just love everything about movies and cartoons. They're like windows into other worlds, and sometimes I wish I could just step right through the screen and join the adventure. The bright colors, the funny characters, they make me feel like I'm part of another world. I collect little figurines and plushies, and sometimes I even talk to them, imagining what they'd say if they could talk back.
She kept a notebook for her own characters, dreaming up their voices and adventures. The pages were filled with doodles, story ideas, and lists of names for imaginary friends. Sometimes, she'd write scripts for her favorite shows, giving her own twist to the endings. This Friday night was special. Wildfire was on MTV, and tomorrow was movie day. The anticipation buzzed in the air, and Emily could hardly sit still, thinking about all the excitement ahead. She'd even made a list of everything she wanted to do. Watch Wildfire, eat popcorn, and wake up early for the first showing of Toy Story at the mall theater.
Tonight's Wildfire and tomorrow Toy Story. A cowboy and a spaceman toy coming to life? I can't wait. I've been counting down for weeks, and I even made my own little Buzz Lightyear badge out of cardboard. I'm going to wear it to the theater tomorrow. Maybe I'll even bring my Woody doll along for good luck.
Emily sat on her beanbag, flipping through 17, counting down the minutes. The magazine was full of quizzes and glossy ads, but her mind kept drifting back to the adventures waiting for her on the screen. She circled answers with a glitter pen, wondering if she'd get someone brave or funny, maybe even a character like Woody or Buzz.
7:50 p.m. Only 10 more minutes. I can hear the TV in the living room, but I want to watch in my room, surrounded by all my favorite things.
She'd planned it all. Wildfire, a late-night snack, and a good night's sleep for the big movie. The VHS tape was ready to record, just in case she wanted to watch it again later. She'd even put a sign on her door, "Do not disturb, movie magic in progress."
Just thinking about Woody and Buzz makes me feel all bubbly inside. I wonder if my toys talk when I'm not looking. Maybe they have their own adventures, just like in the movie.
The magic wasn't just about the movie, it was about the idea that her own toys might have secret lives, that maybe, just maybe, the world was a little more enchanted than it seemed. This weekend was going to be one for the books. For Emily, it was more than just a Friday night. It was a celebration of imagination, friendship, and the endless possibilities that came with being a kid in 1995.
The MTV theme blared through the house, a sound that meant only one thing. It was time for my favorite show. The familiar jingle echoed down the hallway, and my heart raced with excitement. I dashed across the living room, nearly tripping over my own feet, desperate not to miss a single second of Wildfire. Pajamas flapping, I dove onto the carpet in front of the TV, remote in hand, ready for the adventure to begin. Princess Sarah and her magical horse, Wildfire, galloped across the screen in a swirl of color and music. From the very first moment, I was completely hooked, swept away into their world of fantasy and danger. I knew every twist in the story, every character's name, and every secret passage in the kingdom. My eyes never left the screen, and I felt like I was right there beside Sarah, facing every challenge with her. Tonight's episode was especially thrilling. Sarah had to break Diabolina's wicked curse using a magical amulet that glowed with mysterious power. The fate of the entire kingdom rested in her hands. I watched, wide-eyed and breathless, as Sarah and Wildfire outsmarted a band of sneaky trolls and raced through enchanted forests. Every moment was filled with suspense, and I cheered them on from my spot on the floor. The animation was simple, with bold lines and bright colors, but the story had so much heart. It didn't matter that the effects weren't fancy. The magic was in the adventure and the friendship between Sarah and Wildfire. As the credits rolled and the music faded, I felt a little sad that the adventure was over for the night. But I knew that tomorrow would bring a brand new episode and a brand new quest for Sarah and Wildfire. Sometimes, I imagined what it would be like to watch Wildfire on a giant movie screen, with popcorn in my lap, and the whole theater filled with kids just as excited as me. The magic would feel even bigger, the adventures even grander. And then, as the night went on, I'd think about other favorite shows and movies, like the part where Buzz Lightyear falls with style. That scene always made me giggle, no matter how many times I watched it. I'd look at the calendar, counting down the days until the weekend, when I could watch even more cartoons. The promise of another sunrise meant another chance for adventure. After finishing my cereal, I'd crawl into bed, my mind swirling with dreams of talking toys, magical horses, and brave princesses. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. I was already ready for the next adventure.
Saturday morning was bright and full of promise. Emily dressed quickly, excitement bubbling up.
The house was buzzing. Everyone was meeting here before the movie.
Emily, give your Aunt Sally a big hug.
Ready for the big show, kiddo? Emma was bouncing, Ed was trying to look cool, and Grandma Lucy brought cookies.
Heard we're seeing one of your cartoons on the big screen.
The living room was full of laughter and chatter.
All right, troops, let's load 'em up. The adventure was about to begin.
The family piled into Uncle Frank's big blue van. Everyone squeezed in, ready for adventure. The van was always a little too small for all of us, but that was part of the fun. Laughter echoed as we jostled for seats, bags of snacks and jackets tossed over laps, and the familiar scent of peppermint gum and leather seats filled the air. There was a sense of excitement, a buzz that only came with a family outing to the movies.
I sat in the back with Ed and Emma, Grandpa and Grandma in the middle, Aunt Sally up front. The back seat was our little world, where we whispered secrets and made silly faces at passing cars. Grandpa hummed an old tune, and Grandma handed out butterscotch candies from her purse, just like she always did on special trips.
Here we go. The anticipation was almost too much to handle. We could barely sit still, bouncing in our seats as the van pulled out of the driveway. The radio played Hootie and the Blowfish as we drove through the neighborhood. The leaves were turning gold and red, swirling past the windows as we sang along to the chorus. The world outside felt like it was changing just for us, making the day feel even more special. Emma listed all the toys she hoped would come to life. She imagined her stuffed animals having secret adventures while we were away. Her imagination made us all laugh, and even Grandpa joined in, suggesting that maybe his old fishing hat would start talking too. Ed talked about computer animation. He explained how the movie we were about to see was made, his eyes lighting up as he described the magic of pixels and computers. Aunt Sally nodded along, pretending to understand, but we all knew Ed was the real expert.
Emily watched the world blur by, smiling. She pressed her nose to the glass, tracing shapes in the condensation, lost in her own daydreams about the movie and what surprises awaited us. Soon, the AMC Theaters sign appeared. It felt like a beacon, promising popcorn, laughter, and a couple of hours in another world.
Perfect spot right here. Uncle Frank always found the best parking right near the entrance so we could make a quick dash inside. Everyone unbuckled, stepping into the crisp autumn air. The wind carried the scent of fallen leaves and distant popcorn, and we hurried to zip up our jackets. The lobby buzzed with families heading for the same movie. Kids clutched their parents' hands, and the sound of excited chatter filled the air. Posters for upcoming films lined the walls, each one promising a new adventure. 7 for Toy Story, please. Uncle Frank's voice was cheerful as he counted us off, and the ticket seller smiled, handing over a stack of tickets.
Tickets in hand, Emily felt like she was holding a golden ticket. She grinned from ear to ear, waving the tickets like they were the keys to a secret kingdom. The smell of popcorn filled the air. It was warm, buttery, and impossible to resist. We pooled our change for a giant tub to share, already imagining the taste. The first part of the mission was complete. We had made it to the theater, together, ready for whatever magic the big screen would bring.
The AMC lobby was a neon wonderland, thick with the smell of popcorn.
All right, everyone, pick your poison.
Medium popcorn, extra butter.
Junior mints for me.
Ed got Sour Patch Kids and nachos, Emma picked goobers, and I went for popcorn and cherry Coke. The employee filled our arms with treats.
Let's pay for this mountain of snacks.
Let's head in before the previews start.
Don't drop the popcorn, Emily.
We shuffled into the hallway, tickets torn, snacks in hand.
Theater 1 on your left. The excitement was building with every step.
Walking into Theater 1 felt like entering another universe. Rows of plush red seats, a giant white screen. Movie trivia flashed on the screen. Soft music played.
Let's find a whole row together.
We settled in the middle, popcorn ready to share. The sounds, rustling, whispers, popcorn crunches, were a symphony.
Here come the previews.
The lights dimmed, previews for Space Jam and more played.
We're definitely coming back for that one.
The previews felt like a menu of fun.
Here we go, it's starting.
The Pixar lamp bounced on screen, and You've Got a Friend in Me began. I grabbed popcorn, settled back, and smiled. The magic was beginning. The hallway felt so bright after the dark theater. I hurried, hoping I wouldn't miss anything important. I rushed back just as Woody met Sid's misfit toys, relieved I hadn't missed the big escape. I squeezed back into my seat, heart pounding. The adventure was still on. Go ahead, honey, be quick. The movie was everything I'd hoped for. Funny, exciting, heartwarming. I laughed at Buzz's Space Ranger antics and the chaos at Pizza Planet. But halfway through, I had to run to the bathroom. Too much cherry Coke. I have to go to the bathroom. We piled into the van, still talking about the magic of Toy Story. The drive home was just as lively as before. Let's head home for sandwiches and Grandma Lucy's cookies. Who's hungry for lunch? Let's gather up the popcorn buckets and wrappers. Emma kept giggling. The claw, the claw. The flying scene was my favorite. That was wonderful. The rest of the movie flew by. Woody and Buzz's escape was thrilling. The rocket scene made my heart soar. As the credits rolled, everyone clapped and chatted. The afternoon at Aunt Sally and Uncle Frank's was warm and cozy. We made sandwiches, still talking about Toy Story.
Woody reminds me of the cowboy dolls I had as a boy.
Emma was already planning to check if her toys moved when she wasn't looking. The movie had sparked everyone's imagination.
Who's ready for cookies?
Grandma's cookies disappeared fast. I sat with Ed and Emma perfectly content. The day was simple but wonderful, a weekend of cartoons, movies, and family.
Time to say goodbye, everyone.
Driving home, I thought about Woody and Buzz under the same sky. That night, I fell asleep smiling, holding on to the magic of a perfect 1995 Saturday.